r/AITA I destroyed Stepdad's career after discovering his $8,000 secret. I'm staring at the bank statement in my hands, and the numbers don't lie. $8,000. Gone. The college fund my dad set up before he died 3 years ago, the one thing he made sure would be protected for my future, has been systematically drained over the past 6 months. Small withdrawals at first, $200 here, $300 there, then bigger chunks. The last one was $1,500 just last week. My hands are shaking as I scroll through the online banking app on my phone, cross-referencing the dates with the paper statement I found buried in Richard's desk drawer. Every single withdrawal corresponds to major sporting events. March Madness. The Super Bowl. The World Series. Even regular season games. Apparently my stepfather has been betting on everything from college basketball to professional tennis. This is the same man who stands in front of Westfield High's morning announcements every day, preaching about character and making responsible choices. The same man who expelled Jenny Martinez last month for having a fake ID, giving her a whole lecture about integrity and how actions have consequences. The same man who married my mom 2 years ago and promised to take care of our family. I hear his car pulling into the driveway and quickly shove the statement back into the drawer, but I keep my phone out with the banking app still open. My heart is pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears. Hey kiddo, Richard calls out as he walks through the front door, setting down his briefcase with that same confident smile he wears for parent-teacher conferences. How was school? Fine, I manage, though my voice sounds weird even to me. Richard, can we talk? He's already heading to the kitchen, loosening his tie like he does every day at 4:15 p.m. Sure, what's up? Make it quick though, I've got some budget reports to review before dinner. I follow him, phone clutched tight in my hand. It's about my college fund. He freezes for just a second, I almost miss it, before continuing to pour himself a glass of water. What about it? There's money missing. A lot of money. Richard turns around slowly, and for the first time since I've known him, his principal mask slips just enough for me to see something cold underneath. That's a serious accusation, Alex. Are you sure you know what you're talking about? I hold up my phone, showing him the banking app. $8,000, Richard. Gone. All of it on the same dates as major games. My voice is getting stronger now, the evidence giving me courage. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? This was my dad's money. Money he saved so I could go to college. The silence stretches between us like a wire about to snap. Richard sets down his glass carefully, then looks at me with the same expression he uses on students caught cheating. Listen to me very carefully, he says, his voice taking on that authoritative tone he uses over the school intercom. You're 17 years old, you're grieving, and you're clearly confused about how family finances work. I suggest you delete whatever you think you found and forget about this conversation. Forget about it. I can't believe what I'm hearing. You stole from me. I didn't steal anything. His voice is deadly calm now. I'm the adult here, I manage this family's finances, and I don't owe you an explanation. But here's what's going to happen, you're going to drop this right now, or you'll find yourself looking for somewhere else to live. And good luck convincing your mother that her husband is some kind of criminal. Who do you think she's going to believe? The threat hits me like a slap. The threat hits me like a slap. He's right, and we both know it. Mom is completely head over heels for this man. After 3 years of grieving dad, Richard swept in like some kind of savior, successful, stable, respected in a community. She lights up when he walks into a room, constantly brags to her friends about being married to Principal Morrison. There's no way she'd believe her grieving teenager over her perfect husband. You're bluffing, I say, but my voice wavers. Richard steps closer, and suddenly he doesn't look like the friendly stepfather who helped me with algebra homework last month. Am I? You want to test that theory? Go ahead. Run to your mother right now and tell her that the man who's been paying the mortgage on this house, buying your clothes, and putting food on the table is somehow the bad guy here. My stomach drops. I hadn't thought about that part. Since Richard moved in, his salary has been covering most of our expenses. Mom's job at the marketing firm pays okay, but not enough to maintain the lifestyle we've gotten used to. The house we live in now is bigger than our old apartment. I've been playing travel soccer because Richard insisted on paying the fees. Even my car, the used Honda I drive to school, Richard co-signed the loan when Mom's credit wasn't enough. He sees the realization on my face and his smile returns, but it's different now. Predatory. Starting to understand the situation, he continues. Let me spell it out for you. I've been nothing but generous to this family. I took on a widow and her troubled teenager without hesitation. I've provided stability, financial security, and a future. So if a little money moved around to make some investments that could benefit all of us, that's my decision to make as the head of this household. Investments. I laugh bitterly. You call gambling investments? I call it none of your business. His voice drops to barely above a whisper, but it's more menacing than if he'd shouted. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to go upstairs, do your homework, and never mention this again. Because if you don't, I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of ungrateful, troubled kid you really are. Your grades have been slipping, I've seen the reports. You've been acting out since your father died. It wouldn't be hard to convince your mother that you need some serious intervention. Military school, maybe. Or a therapeutic boarding program. The room feels like it's spinning. You can't just. I'm a respected educator, Alex. I've been working with troubled teens for 15 years. If I say you're having behavioral issues that require immediate action, who's going to question that? Your soccer coach who's already concerned about your attitude. Your chemistry teacher who emailed about your missed assignments. Or maybe your mother, who's been worried sick about your adjustment issues since we got married. He's right about all of it. I have been struggling. My grades aren't terrible, but they're not great either. I did miss some chemistry assignments, and I got into it with Coach Peterson last month when he benched me. I've been angry and confused and grieving, and Richard has been there for all of it, positioning himself as the concerned stepfather just trying to help. You're sick, I whisper. I'm practical, he corrects. Now go upstairs. Your mother will be home soon, and I'd hate for her to walk into some kind of dramatic scene. I stand there for another moment, phone still in my hand, staring at this man I thought I knew. Then I turn and walk upstairs, my mind already racing with a new plan. I slam my bedroom door and immediately start pacing. My hands are still shaking, but now it's from rage instead of fear. Richard thinks he's so smart, threatening me like some kind of mafia boss while wearing his world's best principal coffee mug downstairs. But he made one crucial mistake. He assumed I'd just roll over and take it. I pull up the banking app again, screenshotting everything. Transaction dates, amounts, even the merchant codes that clearly show DraftKings and FanDuel instead of whatever investments he was babbling about. Then I start digging deeper. Mom keeps all our important papers in a file cabinet in her closet. Birth certificates, insurance documents, tax returns. I need to see exactly how this account was set up, because something doesn't feel right about Richard having access to it in the first place. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting on my bedroom floor with a stack of papers that makes my blood boil even hotter. The college fund was set up as a custodial account, which means Richard shouldn't have been able to touch it at all until I turn 18. But there's an addendum dated 6 months after he and Mom got married, signed by both of them, transferring custodial rights to him for family financial planning purposes. Mom signed away control of Dad's money without even telling me. I'm photographing every document when I hear her car in the driveway. Through my window, I watch her get out with grocery bags, humming something under her breath. She looks happy. Completely oblivious that her husband just threatened to ship her kid off to military school to cover up his gambling addiction. My phone buzzes with a text from my best friend Maya, still coming to study group tonight. Study group. Right. Like I can focus on AP history when my entire world just imploded. But then I get an idea. Me, can't tonight. Family drama. But hey, random question, doesn't your mom work for the state education department? Maya, yeah, why? You thinking about switching schools? Me, something like that. Think she'd answer some questions about reporting procedures. Like, hypothetically, if a principal was doing something illegal. Maya, Alex, what the hell is going on? I stare at the text, my finger hovering over the keyboard. Maya's been my best friend since middle school. She knows about Dad, knows how hard it's been adjusting to Richard. But this feels too big, too dangerous to drag her into. Me, just research for a project. I'll call you later. I put the phone down and spread all the documents out on my bed. Bank statements, the custody transfer, Richard's appointment letter when he became principal at Westfield. There's got to be something here I can use, some way to prove what he's been doing without it being just my word against his. That's when I notice something weird about the dates. The custody transfer is dated February 15th, 3 months before Richard's first withdrawal from my account. But there are other bank statements mixed in here, one's from Mom's checking account that she must have accidentally grabbed when she was filing things. I probably shouldn't look, but after the day I've had, privacy feels like a luxury I can't afford. Mom's account shows transfers too. Not to gambling sites, but to savings accounts I've never heard of. Large amounts, always on the same day Richard made withdrawals from my college fund. It's like he was taking my dad's money and funneling it somewhere else, using Mom's account as a middleman. Footsteps on the stairs. Mom's voice calling up, Alex. Can you come help with groceries? I quickly shove everything under my mattress except my phone. Coming. I call back, my mind racing with new questions. What exactly has Richard been doing with that money? And how deep does this thing actually go? I help Mom unload groceries, trying to act normal while my brain processes everything I just discovered. She's chatting about her day, completely oblivious to the fact that her husband just threatened me upstairs 20 minutes ago. Oh, and Richard's been nominated for Principal of the Year again, she says, beaming as she puts away cereal boxes. The district superintendent called this afternoon. Apparently the school board is really impressed with how he's turned around the budget situation at Westfield. My blood runs cold. Budget situation? You know, how he's managed to increase funding for new programs without raising taxes. Something about creative financial management and finding money in unexpected places. She pauses, looking at me with concern. Honey, you look pale. Are you feeling okay? I force a smile. Just tired. Long day. But inside, I'm connecting dots I really don't want to connect. Richard has access to school budgets. He's being praised for finding money in unexpected places. And now I know he's moving funds around in ways that don't make sense, using accounts that shouldn't be connected. What if my college fund isn't the only money he's been stealing? Where is Richard? I ask, trying to sound casual. He had to run back to school. Something about preparing for tomorrow's budget meeting with the district office. Mom checks her watch. He should be back by 8. Perfect. I need to make a phone call. Back in my room, I pull up Maya's contact, but hesitate. Instead, I dial the number I found on one of the documents, the direct line for the state education department's ethics hotline. It rings 3 times before a tired-sounding woman answers. Education ethics, this is Carol. Hi, I need to report something, but I'm not sure if it's the right place to call. What kind of situation are we dealing with? I take a deep breath. I think a principal might be stealing money. From the school and from students. There's a pause, then the sound of typing. Okay, this is definitely something we handle. Are you a student at the school? Yes, and he's also my stepfather. More typing. I see. That's a complicated situation. Can you tell me what evidence you have? I walk her through everything, the missing college fund, the bank transfers, the suspicious timing with his budget success. Carol asks detailed questions, and I realize how much more investigating I need to do. Here's the thing, she says finally. Personal financial issues, even gambling, aren't necessarily something we can act on. But if school funds are involved, that's a different story. We'd need concrete evidence of misuse of district money. How would I get that? You wouldn't. That's not your job, and frankly, it could be dangerous for you to try. What I can do is flag this for investigation, but it would take time. Weeks, maybe months. My heart sinks. What about the money he already took from me? That's a civil matter. You'd need to involve local police or a lawyer. After I hang up, I sit in the dark feeling more hopeless than before. The ethics department can't help with my college fund, and even if they investigate the school finances, Richard will know someone reported him. It won't take him long to figure out it was me. Then my phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Heard you've been asking questions about your stepfather. We should talk. Meet me at Riverside Park tomorrow after school. Come alone. Someone who knows the truth about Richard Morrison. I stare at the message, my heart hammering. Someone else knows what Richard's been doing. But who? And how did they get my number? Another text appears, don't trust anyone else with this. He's more dangerous than you think. I barely sleep that night, staring at my phone and rereading those cryptic messages. By morning, I've convinced myself it's probably Richard testing me somehow, trying to see if I'll reach out to imaginary allies. But the paranoid voice in my head keeps whispering, what if it's real? What if someone else has been watching him too? At breakfast, Richard acts like nothing happened yesterday. He kisses Mom goodbye, ruffles my hair like the perfect stepfather, and even offers to drive me to school since it's raining. Thanks, but Maya's picking me up, I lie, grabbing my backpack. Actually, Mom interjects, Maya's mom called this morning. Maya's sick, so you'll need another ride. My stomach drops. I've been counting on the walk to school to clear my head and figure out what to do about the mysterious texts. I can take the bus. Nonsense, Richard says smoothly. We're family. Besides, I want to hear how your AP history project is coming along. 20 minutes later, I'm trapped in his BMW, watching raindrops race down the passenger window while he makes casual conversation about college applications and my bright future. The irony is suffocating. You know, he says as we pull into the school parking lot, I've been thinking about our conversation yesterday. I may have come across a bit harsh. I don't respond, but he continues anyway. Your father would be proud of the young adult you're becoming. He'd want you to trust the people who care about you most. Richard parks and turns to face me, his expression perfectly calibrated to look sincere. I care about you, Alex. About your future. Sometimes that means making difficult financial decisions that might not make sense to someone your age. Gambling away my college fund is a financial decision. His jaw tightens almost imperceptibly. I told you, those were investments. Calculated risks that could have paid off big for your education. Sometimes the market requires aggressive strategies. DraftKings isn't the stock market, Richard. The mask slips again, just for a second. You've been busy, he says quietly. I hope you're not planning to do something you'll regret. Before I can respond, he's back to playing the concerned stepfather. Have a great day at school, kiddo. I'll see you at dinner. I get out of the car feeling like I need a shower. The day drags by in a blur of classes I can't concentrate on. Every time I see Richard in the hallways, greeting students and teachers with his politician smile, I feel sick. During lunch, I overhear two seniors talking about how their families can finally afford the college prep classes because Principal Morrison found extra funding in the budget. By the time the final bell rings, I've made my decision. I need to know who sent those messages. Riverside Park is a 10-minute bike ride from school. It's mostly empty on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, just a few joggers and someone walking their dog near the pond. I sit on a bench by the playground, checking my phone every 30 seconds. At 3:47, a woman approaches from the parking lot. She's maybe 40, wearing a rain jacket and jeans, with graying brown hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looks familiar, but I can't place her. Alex, she asks, sitting down beside me but leaving space between us. I nod, suddenly wondering if this was a huge mistake. My name is Linda Chin. I worked, in the district's accounting office until last month. She pulls out her phone and shows me a photo of herself at what looks like a school board meeting. Richard Morrison destroyed my career, and if you're not careful, he'll destroy your life too. My mouth goes dry. What do you mean? I mean your stepfather isn't just a gambling addict, she says grimly. He's been systematically embezzling money from 3 different schools over the past 2 years. And when I tried to report it, he made sure I was the one who got fired. Linda pulls out a thick manila folder from her jacket and sets it between us on the bench. I've been tracking Richard's activities for 8 months. What you found in your college fund? That's just the tip of the iceberg. My hands tremble as I open the folder. Inside are spreadsheets, bank records, and what looks like official school district documents. Numbers jump out at me, thousands of dollars, dates, account transfers that make my head spin. I don't understand all of this, I admit. Richard has been running a sophisticated scheme, Linda explains, pointing to a highlighted section. He takes money from school activity funds, things like band trips, sports equipment budgets, even the free lunch program, and moves it through a series of personal accounts to cover his gambling debts. Then he replaces it with money from other sources. Other sources like my college fund. Exactly. But it's worse than that. When he can't find enough to replace what he's stolen, he just doesn't. The district thinks Westfield High has a surplus because Richard's been creative with the accounting. In reality, they're missing over $40,000. I stare at the numbers, feeling nauseous. How did you figure this out? Linda's expression hardens. I noticed discrepancies during a routine audit last spring. Small things at first, receipts that didn't match deposits, funds that were categorized incorrectly. When I brought my concerns to my supervisor, Richard convinced them I was the problem. Claimed I was making errors, that I was overwhelmed with my workload. But you had evidence. Evidence that mysteriously disappeared from my computer after Richard volunteered to help with the investigation. Suddenly, I was the accounting clerk who couldn't keep her records straight. They offered me early retirement instead of an official termination, but the message was clear. She flips to another section of the folder. After I was forced out, I started investigating on my own time. That's when I discovered the pattern wasn't limited to Westfield. Richard did the same thing at his previous 2 schools before moving here. My blood runs cold. He's done this before. Lincoln Middle School, then Riverside Elementary. Same pattern each time, praised for his budget management while systematically stealing from programs meant for kids. He moves schools every few years, always with glowing recommendations from district officials who never look too closely at what happens after he leaves. I think about all the times Richard has lectured students about integrity, about the consequences of dishonest behavior. The complete hypocrisy makes me want to scream. Why are you telling me this? I ask. Linda closes the folder and looks at me seriously. Because he's getting bolder. Your college fund, the increased amounts, the fact that he threatened you directly, he's escalating. And because. She hesitates. I think he knows I've been investigating him. What do you mean? Someone broke into my apartment last week. Nothing valuable was taken, but my home office was ransacked. My backup files, my printed records, all gone. She pats the folder. This is all I have left. The rain is picking up, and I can barely think straight. So what do? We need more evidence. Something current, something that ties directly to school funds. The state education department won't act on my word alone, not after Richard destroyed my credibility. Linda stands up, scanning the empty park nervously. But if a student came forward with proof of ongoing theft, you want me to spy on him? I want you to protect yourself and every other kid whose future he's stealing. She hands me a business card with just a phone number written on it. Think about it. But don't take too long. Richard's been asking questions about you around school today. She starts walking away, then turns back. Alex. Be very careful who you trust. Richard has friends in the district office, and they've already helped him destroy one person who got in his way. I sit alone in the rain, clutching the folder and wondering how my life became a thriller movie overnight. I bike home through the rain with Linda's folder stuffed inside my jacket, my mind spinning with everything she told me. $40,000. Multiple schools. A pattern of destruction that's been going on for years, and somehow my stepfather has managed to make himself look like the hero every single time. When I get home, Mom's car is already in the driveway next to Richard's BMW. I can hear them talking in the kitchen as I sneak upstairs, their voices carrying that easy, comfortable tone of a couple discussing their day. It makes me feel sick knowing what I know now. I'm barely through my bedroom door when my phone buzzes with a text from Richard. Need to see you downstairs. Now. My blood turns to ice. Did he see me with Linda somehow? Does he know about the folder currently hidden under my mattress next to all the other evidence I've been collecting? Alex. Mom calls from downstairs. Can you come down here for a minute? I take a deep breath and head downstairs, trying to look normal despite the fact that my heart is hammering against my ribs. Richard and Mom are standing in the kitchen, and something about their posture immediately puts me on edge. Sit down, honey, Mom says, gesturing to one of the bar stools. Her voice has that careful tone she uses when she's about to deliver bad news. Richard leans against the counter, arms crossed, watching me with those calculating eyes. Alex, your mother and I have been discussing some concerns about your recent behavior. What concerns? I manage to ask. Mom sighs, looking genuinely worried. Sweetheart, your chemistry teacher called today. You missed another assignment, and apparently you seem distracted and angry in class. And Coach Peterson mentioned you've been argumentative during practice. Plus, Richard adds smoothly, you've been acting strange at home. Secretive. Going through things that don't belong to you. My stomach drops. He knows I was in his desk, maybe even in Mom's filing cabinet. But I force myself to stay calm. I've just been stressed about college applications and... That's exactly what we want to help you with, Richard interrupts. Which is why we've made an appointment for you to speak with someone. Someone. Mom reaches over and squeezes my hand. Dr. Patricia Hendricks. She's a wonderful counselor who specializes in helping teenagers work through grief and adjustment issues. Richard knows her through the district. She works with a lot of students who are struggling. The room starts to feel like it's closing in. You want to send me to therapy? We want to get you help, Richard says, his voice taking on that authoritative principal tone. Dr. Hendricks has openings in her residential program. It's a very exclusive opportunity, only available to families who can afford the level of care she provides. Residential program. He's actually doing it, finding a way to get rid of me just like he threatened. I don't need residential anything, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. I'm dealing with normal stress. Everyone in AP classes is stressed right now. Mom looks torn. Honey, it's not just the grades. You've been so angry since your father died, and adjusting to our new family dynamic has been harder than any of us expected. Maybe some professional support. Richard suggested this, didn't he? I look directly at my stepfather, who's watching me with that same cold smile from yesterday. Let me guess, Dr. Hendricks is a good friend of yours. She's a respected professional who's helped many of my students, Richard replies evenly. Students who were acting out, making accusations they couldn't support, engaging in destructive behaviors. The threat is crystal clear, even if Mom can't see it. Agree to disappear quietly into his friend's residential program, or he'll make sure everyone believes I'm having a complete breakdown. What kind of destructive behaviors? I ask, calling his bluff. Richard's smile grows wider. Oh, you know. Paranoid thinking. Conspiracy theories about authority figures. Sometimes grief can manifest in very unhealthy ways, making troubled teens believe that the people trying to help them are actually the enemy. Mom nods along, completely buying his psychological assessment. The appointment is Thursday afternoon. Just an evaluation to start. And if I refuse? Richard and Mom exchange a look, one of those married couple communications that happens without words. Then Mom sighs. Sweetheart, you're 17. We're trying to do this collaboratively, but ultimately, we have to make decisions that are best for your well-being. Translation, I don't actually have a choice. I stand up from the bar stool, my legs feeling shaky. Can I think about it? Of course, Mom says, looking relieved that I'm not fighting harder. But the appointment is already scheduled. Dr. Hendricks is doing us a personal favor by fitting you in so quickly. I nod and head back upstairs, my mind racing. I have less than 48 hours before Richard ships me off to his therapist friend, where I'll probably be diagnosed with whatever convenient mental health issues justify keeping me locked away while he covers his tracks. But as I pull Linda's folder back out from under my mattress, a new determination settles in my chest. Richard thinks he's cornered me, but he's made one crucial mistake. He's given me a deadline. I spend the entire night going through Linda's folder with a fine-tooth comb, cross-referencing dates and amounts until my eyes burn. By 3 a.m., I've identified a pattern that makes my stomach churn. Every major withdrawal from my college fund corresponds exactly with deposits into what Linda has labeled as emergency school accounts, funds that Richard apparently created for unexpected expenses. The beautiful, sick logic of it becomes clear. He steals from the school, gambles it away, then uses my dad's money to replace what he stole. When he wins, he probably pockets the difference. When he loses, kids like me pay the price. But Linda was right about one thing: I need current evidence. Everything in her folder is from before she got fired, and while it shows the pattern, it's not enough to prove he's still doing it now. That's when I remember something that makes my blood run cold. Tomorrow is the district budget meeting Mom mentioned. Richard will have to present Westfield's financials to the superintendent and the school board. If he's been covering up stolen money with my college fund, those books are going to look perfectly balanced. He'll probably get another commendation for his innovative financial management. I need to get into his office computer before that meeting. The next morning, I fake sick. Not hard to do considering I barely slept and my stomach has been in knots for 2 days straight. Mom feels my forehead, looking concerned. Maybe you should stay home today, she agrees. Rest up before your appointment with Dr. Hendricks tomorrow. Richard appears in my doorway, still straightening his tie. Everything all right? Just not feeling well, I mumble, pulling the covers up to my chin. He studies my face for a moment, and I wonder if he can tell I'm lying. Well, make sure you get plenty of rest. We want you feeling your best for tomorrow's evaluation. The way he says evaluation makes my skin crawl, but I just nod weakly. After they both leave, I wait exactly 30 minutes before getting dressed and biking to school. The building is buzzing with normal Tuesday energy, students rushing between classes, teachers juggling coffee and paperwork, the usual chaos that Richard presides over from his office on the second floor. I know his schedule by heart from living with him. First period he does classroom observations. Second period is when he reviews emails and handles administrative calls. That's my window. The main office is staffed by Mrs. Patterson, the secretary who's been at Westfield longer than anyone. She knows me as Principal Morrison's stepdaughter, which has always felt weird but might actually work in my favor today. Alex? What are you doing here, honey? Your stepfather mentioned you were sick. I put on my most pathetic expression. I am, but I forgot my AP chemistry textbook in his office yesterday when I was waiting for my ride. I have a huge test tomorrow and really need to study. Mrs. Patterson looks sympathetic. Oh, you poor thing. He's in Building C doing observations, but I can let you grab your book real quick. She buzzes me through to the inner office, and suddenly I'm standing in Richard's domain. Awards and certificates line the walls: Administrator of the Year, Excellence in Educational Leadership, commendations from the State Education Department. His desk is immaculate, everything in its proper place, projecting the image of a man completely in control. His computer is still logged in. I glance back toward the main office, where Mrs. Patterson is answering phones, then quickly sit down at Richard's desk. My hands are shaking as I navigate to his email, looking for anything related to budget meetings or financial reports. What I find is worse than I imagined. There's an entire email chain with someone named Marcus Webb at the district office, discussing irregularities in Westfield's accounts that need to be smoothed over before today's presentation. The tone is casual, familiar, like they've had these conversations before. And then I see an email from Dr. Patricia Hendricks, dated this morning, confirmed for tomorrow at 2 p.m. As discussed, residential evaluation with recommended 30-day observation period. We'll be happy to provide whatever documentation you need. 30 days. He's planning to lock me away for an entire month. I'm screenshotting everything when I hear footsteps in the hallway outside. Heavy, familiar footsteps that make my heart stop. Richard is coming back early. I frantically minimize the email window and open a filing cabinet, pretending to look for my textbook. The footsteps are getting closer, definitely Richard's measured principal stride that every student at Westfield knows by heart. Mrs. Patterson, did someone come in while I was? His voice cuts off as he appears in his office doorway, taking in a scene of me crouched by his filing cabinet. Oh. Alex. His tone shifts to that carefully modulated stepfather voice. What are you doing here? I thought you were sick. My mouth goes dry, but I hold up my chemistry textbook that I'd actually spotted in the cabinet. I forgot this yesterday. Mrs. Patterson let me grab it since I have a test. Richard's eyes move from me to his computer screen, which is still showing his desktop. I pray he doesn't notice that his email program is minimized instead of closed like he usually leaves it. You should be home resting, he says, stepping fully into the office. There's something different about his energy, more alert, almost predatory. Especially with your appointment tomorrow. I know, I just... Alex? Mrs. Patterson calls from the main office. Your mother is online too. She wants to check how you're feeling. Perfect cover. I stand up, clutching my textbook. I should take that. But Richard doesn't move from the doorway, effectively blocking my exit. Actually, Mrs. Patterson, can you tell her that Alex is feeling much better? In fact, why don't you stay for the rest of the day, kiddo? Since you're here anyway. Panic shoots through me. The last thing I need is to be trapped at school under Richard's supervision all day, especially with those screenshots burning a hole in my phone. I really should get home. Nonsense. I insist. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Besides, I'd like you to see what your old man does all day. Maybe sit in on the budget meeting this afternoon. It might give you some perspective on how school finances actually work. The budget meeting. He wants me there when he presents his doctored numbers to the district officials. Either he's planning to use my presence as some kind of character witness, or he wants to keep me close where he can watch me. That sounds educational, I manage. Excellent. Mrs. Patterson, can you set up a chair in the conference room for my stepdaughter? She'll be observing this afternoon's presentation. As Mrs. Patterson bustles around making arrangements, Richard leans closer to me, his voice dropping to barely above a whisper. I hope you found what you were looking for in my office, he says quietly. Though I should mention, everything on my computer is monitored by district IT. Every email, every file accessed, every screenshot taken. Standard security protocol for all administrative accounts. My blood turns to ice. If that's true, then there's already a digital record of everything I just did. Richard will know exactly what I saw, and the district IT department will have proof that I was snooping through confidential files. I was just getting my textbook, I whisper back. Of course you were. He straightens up, his public smile returning. Mrs. Patterson, I'll be taking Alex to lunch in a bit. Just the two of us. We have some family matters to discuss before this afternoon's meeting. The way he says, family matters, makes my skin crawl. As Richard heads back out for his next classroom observation, I'm left standing in his office with my chemistry book, feeling like I just walked into a trap that's slowly closing around me. My phone buzzes with a text from Linda Chen, District IT flagged unusual access to Morrison's email account 10 minutes ago. You need to get out of there. Now. But when I look toward the main office, Mrs. Patterson is watching me with a sympathetic smile, completely unaware that she's become part of keeping me exactly where Richard wants me. My hands shake as I stare at Linda's text. District IT knows someone accessed Richard's email, which means he wasn't bluffing about the monitoring. But more importantly, it means Linda has connections inside the district that she didn't tell me about yesterday. How else would she know about IT flags in real time? I delete her message and try to look casual as I walk back toward the main office, but Mrs. Patterson intercepts me with another sympathetic smile. Your stepfather asked me to make sure you're comfortable until lunch, she says, gesturing toward a chair near her desk. He's worried about you being alone while you're not feeling well. Translation, Richard wants me supervised until he can deal with whatever I found in his computer. I sit down and pretend to study my chemistry book while my mind races through possible escape routes. The main entrance requires passing Mrs. Patterson. The side exits are locked during school hours and will trigger alarms. The only other option is waiting for a class change when the hallways will be crowded enough to slip out unnoticed. That's still 40 minutes away. My phone buzzes again, but this time it's a text from an unknown number. Stop looking at your phone. Act normal. Meet me in the east stairwell in 5 minutes. A friend. I glance around nervously. Someone else is watching me, but who? And how many people are involved in whatever game Richard's been playing? Mrs. Patterson, I say, standing up slowly, could I use the restroom? Of course, honey. Just don't wander around the building, your stepfather wants to keep track of you today. The east stairwell is rarely used since most students take the main stairs near the cafeteria. When I push through the heavy door, I find Maya's older sister Jessica waiting for me. She graduated 2 years ago, so seeing her here is completely unexpected. Jessica. What are you doing here? She looks around nervously before pulling me further up the stairs, away from the door. I work for the district's student advocacy program now. Part of my job is investigating complaints about administrators. My brain struggles to process this. You're investigating Richard. Not officially. But Linda Chen reached out to our office last month with concerns about financial irregularities affecting student programs. When she mentioned Morrison's stepdaughter might be in danger, I realized she was talking about you. Everything starts clicking into place. Linda has been setting this up. Linda's been building a case, yes. But she's not the only one who's noticed problems with Morrison's schools. Jessica pulls out her phone and shows me a photo of documents I don't recognize. We've been tracking complaints from parents about missing funds at his previous schools. Band trips that got cancelled after parents already paid. Sports equipment that was never delivered despite being budgeted for. Always small amounts, spread across different programs, but it adds up. How much are we talking about? Conservative estimate. Over the past 5 years, probably close to $200,000. The number hits me like a physical blow. Richard hasn't just been stealing from me, he's been systematically robbing entire communities of kids who trusted him. The problem is proving it, Jessica continues. He's smart about covering his tracks, and he has allies in the district office who help smooth things over. But if we can catch him in the act of manipulating current financial records. The budget meeting, I realize. He's presenting doctored numbers this afternoon. Exactly. And we think he's planning to use today's meeting to request emergency funding for programs he's already stolen from. Double dipping while looking like a hero for securing more resources. My phone starts buzzing with an incoming call. Richard's name appears on the screen, and Jessica's eyes widen. Don't answer that, she whispers urgently. But we both know that not answering will only make him more suspicious. I take a deep breath and swipe to accept the call. Hi, Richard. Alex, where are you? Mrs. Patterson said you went to the restroom 10 minutes ago. His voice has that edge I'm learning to recognize, the sound of his patience wearing thin. I'm not feeling great. I think I might throw up. Well, come back to the office so we can keep an eye on you. Or better yet, let me take you home early. Jessica is shaking her head frantically, mouthing, no, no, no. Actually, I say, inspiration striking, I think I should probably go to the nurse's office. My stomach really hurts. A pause. I'll meet you there. The line goes dead, and Jessica grabs my arm. We need to get you out of this building right now. If Morrison gets you alone before the budget meeting, you might not make it to that therapy appointment tomorrow. What do you mean? I mean Dr. Hendricks isn't just his friend, she's his sister-in-law. And her residential facility has a history of keeping patients longer than their families expected. The revelation about Dr. Hendricks hits me like a punch to the gut. His sister-in-law. Are you serious? Jessica nods grimly. Richard's been using her facility to disappear problem kids for years. Students who ask too many questions, who notice things they shouldn't. They go in for evaluation and somehow end up needing months of treatment for conditions they never had. My legs feel weak. We have to stop the budget meeting. We can't just walk in and accuse him without ironclad proof. He'll spin it as a troubled teen having a breakdown, especially with your recent behavioral issues. Jessica checks her phone. But Linda has a plan. She's been working with someone inside the district office. The stairwell door slams open below us, cutting off her words. Heavy footsteps echo upward, and Richard's voice carries clearly in the enclosed space. Alex? I know you're in here. Mrs. Patterson saw you come this way. Jessica grabs my wrist and pulls me up toward the third floor, but our own footsteps give us away. The climbing stops below us. Alex, this is ridiculous. Come down here right now. Richard's principal voice echoes off the concrete walls. You're clearly having some kind of episode, and I'm not going to chase you around the building like a child. We reach the third floor landing, but there's nowhere else to go except into the hallway or up to the roof access, which is locked. Jessica tries the door handle anyway, it doesn't budge. I'm calling security, Richard announces from below. And your mother. She needs to know you're having a complete breakdown at school. He's bluffing, Jessica whispers, but she looks worried. That's when my phone buzzes with a text from Linda, budget meeting moved up to 1 p.m. Morrison knows we're on to him. Whatever you're doing, you need to finish it in the next 20 minutes. It's 12:47. The meeting's starting, I whisper to Jessica, showing her the text. Then we need to get you to the conference room. If you can disrupt his presentation, force him to answer questions about the account discrepancies in front of the superintendent. Alex. Richard's voice is closer now, maybe one flight down. I'm losing my patience. You have exactly 30 seconds to come down here, or I'm calling the police and reporting you as a runaway student having a mental health crisis. The threat is real. He could absolutely frame this as me having some kind of breakdown, especially after yesterday's confrontation about the money. And if the police get involved, if there's an official record of me being unstable, it'll only strengthen his case for the residential program. But then Jessica does something I don't expect. She pulls out her own phone and starts recording. Principal Morrison, she calls down the stairwell, her voice taking on an official tone I've never heard from Maya's sister before. This is Jessica Rodriguez from the district's student advocacy office. I'm conducting an interview with Alex regarding financial irregularities at Westfield High. Any attempt to interfere with this investigation will be reported to the state education department. Dead silence from below. Then, Ms. Rodriguez, I wasn't aware of any investigation. If you'd like to schedule a proper meeting through administrative channels. The meeting is today at 1 p.m., Jessica cuts him off. Alex will be attending as a witness. I suggest you focus on preparing your budget presentation instead of chasing students through stairwells. More silence. Then the sound of retreating footsteps. Jessica stops recording and grins at me. Sometimes you just have to out-authority the authority figure. But my relief is short-lived. If Richard knows there's an official investigation, if he knows I'm going to be at that budget meeting as a witness rather than his supportive stepdaughter, then he's going to be desperate. And desperate people do dangerous things. Jessica, I say quietly, what happens if he doesn't show up to the meeting at all? Her grin fades. Then he runs, and we lose our only chance to expose him. Jessica and I make our way down to the second floor, but when we reach the main hallway, it's clear something has changed. Teachers are whispering in clusters by their classroom doors, and there's an energy in the air that feels wrong, like the whole building is holding its breath. There's Mrs. Patterson, Jessica says, pointing toward the main office where the secretary is talking rapidly on the phone, her face pale. We get close enough to overhear. Yes, I understand, but he just left without explanation. The superintendent is expecting him in 15 minutes. No, he didn't say where he was going. Yes, I'll keep trying his cell phone. My stomach drops. He's not here. Jessica's jaw tightens. Son of a bitch is running. But then I see something that makes my blood run cold. Through the main office windows, I can see Richard's BMW still in the parking lot. He hasn't left the building, he's hiding somewhere, waiting. His car is still here, I whisper. Then where? The lights go out. Emergency lighting kicks in immediately, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Students start murmuring in confusion, and teachers begin the standard lockdown procedures they've drilled 100 times. Attention Westfield High, comes the announcement over the intercom, but it's not Richard's voice. It's Mr. Chen, the vice principal. We're experiencing a technical difficulty. Please remain in your current locations while maintenance addresses the issue. Jessica grabs my arm. This isn't a coincidence. Morrison has access to all the building systems. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number, conference room. Now. Come alone or the power stays off and the meeting gets cancelled indefinitely. You have 5 minutes. He's trying to isolate me, I show Jessica the message. Absolutely not. We stick together, Anne. Another text appears, your mother is on her way to collect you for an emergency psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Hendricks is standing by. Unless you want to spend the next month in lockdown, you'll come talk to me. Alone. The hallway is getting more chaotic as teachers try to manage confused students in the dim emergency lighting. In all this confusion, Richard could easily claim I had some kind of breakdown, that I was the one who caused the power outage, that I needed immediate intervention. I have to go, I tell Jessica. Alex, no. This is exactly what he wants. If I don't, he'll make sure I disappear before anyone can hear what I have to say. At least in the conference room, there might be other people around. Jessica looks torn. Give me 2 minutes before you go in. I need to call Linda and let her know what's happening. I nod and start walking toward the conference room, my heart hammering against my ribs. The emergency lighting makes everything look like a horror movie, and the usual sounds of a busy school have been replaced by an unsettling quiet. The conference room door is slightly open, and I can see a figure silhouetted against the window. Richard is standing with his back to me, looking out at the parking lot where cars are starting to arrive, probably the superintendent and other district officials, wondering why they're walking into a building with no power. You came, he says without turning around. Smart girl. I step into the room but leave the door open behind me. What do you want, Richard? He finally turns, and in the red emergency lighting, his familiar face looks like a stranger's. Gone is any pretense of the caring stepfather or respected educator. I want you to understand exactly what you're about to lose, he says quietly. And exactly what it's going to cost everyone you care about. Richard moves closer to the conference table, and I notice he's carrying a folder thick with documents. In the emergency lighting, his shadow stretches across the wall like something out of a nightmare. Sit down, Alex. I stay standing near the door. I'm fine here. Suit yourself. He opens the folder and spreads papers across the table. Even in the dim light, I can see they're official-looking documents with letterheads and signatures. Do you know what these are? I don't answer, but he continues anyway. Financial aid applications. College scholarship forms. Letters of recommendation. His voice is eerily calm. All the paperwork your mother and I have been filing for your future. All requiring my signature as your legal guardian. My throat goes dry. You're not my legal guardian. Actually, I am. Your mother signed those papers 2 years ago when we got married. Thought it would make things easier for school forms, medical decisions. He taps one of the documents. Turns out it makes a lot of things easier. I hadn't known about legal guardianship papers. Mom never mentioned them, probably thought they were just practical paperwork that didn't matter. Here's what's going to happen, Richard continues, his principal voice taking on that authoritative tone that usually makes students comply without question. You're going to walk out of this building with your mother when she arrives. You're going to get the help Dr. Hendricks provides. And when you're feeling more stable in a few weeks, you're going to realize that you imagined most of this financial conspiracy nonsense. I have proof. You have screenshots of confidential emails that you accessed illegally. He pulls out another document. The district IT department has already flagged your unauthorized access. As a minor who violated computer privacy laws, you're looking at serious consequences. Unless, of course, we frame it as part of your ongoing mental health crisis. The room feels like it's spinning. Every move I've made, Richard has been 3 steps ahead. The beauty of this, he continues, is that everyone will understand. Grieving teenager, struggling to accept her new family situation, acting out against the stepfather who's trying to help. It's a completely believable narrative. Through the conference room windows, I can see flashlight beams moving in the parking lot. The district officials are definitely here, probably trying to figure out why they're supposed to have a budget meeting in a building with no power. You can't keep the power off forever, I manage to say. I don't need forever. Just long enough for Dr. Hendricks to complete her evaluation and recommend extended treatment. Richard checks his phone. Your mother should be here any minute. She's very worried about you. That's when I hear voices in the hallway outside. Jessica's voice, talking to someone in urgent whispers. And then another voice I recognize, Linda Chin. Richard hears them too, and his expression darkens. You brought quite an audience today. I didn't bring anyone. Turns out other people have been watching you too. Ms. Chen was already discredited. No one will believe a disgruntled former employee with an axe to grind. But there's something in his voice now that wasn't there before. Uncertainty. The voices in the hallway are getting closer, and I can make out what they're saying. Linda is explaining something about financial records to Jessica and at least 2 other people I don't recognize. The thing is, Richard, I say, finding my courage, I don't think I'm the only student whose money you've stolen from. His eyes narrow. What's that supposed to mean? I think there are other kids, other families who trusted you. And I think some of them are starting to ask questions too. It's a bluff, I don't actually know if other families have figured out what he's been doing. But the way Richard's face changes tells me I might be right. You have no idea what you're messing with, he says quietly. No idea how deep this goes or who else you're going to hurt. The conference room door opens wider, and Jessica steps inside, followed by Linda and 2 people in business suits. Principal Morrison, one of the suits, says, "We need to talk." The silence in the conference room stretches like a taut wire as the 2 suited figures step fully into the red-lit space. The taller one, a woman with graying hair, pulls out a badge. Principal Morrison, I'm Agent Sarah Kim with the State Financial Crimes Division. This is Agent Torres. We need to discuss some irregularities that have come to our attention. Richard's mask doesn't slip, but I can see his jaw clench. I'm afraid this isn't a good time. We're dealing with a family crisis, and as you can see, we're having building maintenance issues. The power outage that mysteriously coincided with your scheduled budget meeting? Agent Torres asks dryly. How convenient. Linda steps forward, her voice steady despite the circumstances. Agents, this is Alex Morrison, the student I mentioned. Richard's stepdaughter and one of his victims. Alleged victims, Richard corrects smoothly, but his principal authority is starting to crack around the edges. Alex has been struggling with some serious mental health issues since her father's death. She's been making wild accusations that. We've seen the bank records, Agent Kim cuts him off. The ones Ms. Chen provided, and the additional ones our forensic accountants uncovered. 3 schools, 5 years, systematic theft of student activity funds. My heart pounds with a mixture of relief and terror. They actually have evidence. Real evidence that doesn't depend on my word against Richard's. But Richard isn't done fighting. Those records were obtained illegally. Ms. Chen was terminated for cause, and anything she's provided is suspect at best. What about the records we obtained through proper warrants? Agent Torres pulls out a thick manila envelope. Bank transfers, gambling site transactions, falsified district reports. Should I go on? The color drains from Richard's face, but he rallies quickly. I want to call my lawyer. And I want this minor removed from the room. She shouldn't be subjected to these accusations without her mother present. Funny you should mention that, Jessica speaks up for the first time. Your wife should be arriving any minute. I called her myself to explain the situation. Richard whirls toward her. You had no right. I had every right. I'm a district employee investigating student welfare violations. Jessica's voice is ice-cold professional. And Alex's mother deserves to know that her husband has been stealing her deceased husband's money to fund his gambling addiction. You manipulative little, Richard catches himself before he finishes the sentence, but the venom in his voice is unmistakable. Agent Kim steps between them. Principal Morrison, you need to calm down. Getting aggressive with a minor in front of state investigators isn't helping your case. That's when we hear the sound of heels clicking rapidly down the hallway, accompanied by a familiar voice calling out, Alex. Alex, where are you? Mom appears in the doorway, her face flushed and worried. She takes in the scene, the emergency lighting, the federal agents, Richard's pale face, me standing by the door looking like I've seen a ghost. What's going on here? She demands. Richard called and said Alex was having some kind of breakdown, that she needed immediate psychiatric help, but then Jessica called talking about investigations and stolen money and... She stops mid-sentence, her eyes moving from face to face, finally landing on Richard. Tell me this isn't what I think it is, she whispers. Richard straightens, trying to summon his authoritative presence one more time. Sarah, there's been a misunderstanding. Some disgruntled employees have made allegations. $8,000, Mom, I interrupt, my voice cracking. Dad's college fund money. He gambled it all away and then threatened to have me committed when I found out. Mom's face goes white as she looks at Richard. Please tell me that's not true. The silence that follows is answer enough. The silence stretches for what feels like an eternity before Richard makes one last desperate play. Sarah, you know me, he says, his voice taking on that gentle tone he used when they were dating. You know I would never hurt Alex or steal from your family. These people are trying to destroy everything we've built together. But Mom isn't looking at him anymore. She's staring at Agent Kim, who's holding out one of the bank statements. Mrs. Morrison, these are transactions from your daughter's college fund account. Every withdrawal corresponds to deposits on gambling websites. The dates, amounts, and account numbers are all documented. Mom takes the paper with shaking hands, scanning the numbers. I watch her face as the reality sinks in, months of systematic theft, tens of thousands of dollars that my dad worked overtime shifts to save, gone to feed Richard's addiction. The Super Bowl, she whispers, pointing at one of the larger withdrawals. You said you were working late that night, but you were. Sarah, let me explain. Explain what? Mom's voice cracks with fury. Explain how you looked me in the eye every morning knowing you were stealing from my dead husband's final gift to his daughter. Explain how you were planning to have Alex institutionalized to cover your tracks. Richard's composure finally shatters completely. You think this was easy for me? You think I wanted any of this? I had debts, Sarah. People who don't take no for an answer. I was protecting this family. By destroying it. Mom's voice rises to a shout. By stealing Alex's future and then trying to convince me she was mentally ill. Agent Torres clears his throat. Mr. Morrison, we're placing you under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and theft. You have the right to remain silent. As the agents read Richard his rights and cuff him, he looks at me one last time. The mask is completely gone now, replaced by something desperate and defeated. I hope you're happy, he spits. You have no idea what you've unleashed. The district is going to be in chaos. Other families are going to get hurt when this comes out. Other families already got hurt, I reply firmly. You hurt them. This just stops you from hurting more. 3 months later, I'm sitting in a different conference room at Westfield High, but this time the lights are on and I'm not alone. Mom is beside me, along with Linda Chen, who got her job back with a formal apology, and a new interim principal, Mrs. Rodriguez. The restitution fund should cover about 60% of what was stolen from student accounts, Mrs. Rodriguez explains, sliding papers across the table. The district is covering the remaining 40%, plus interest. My college fund will be restored in full. It's not just my dad's money anymore, it's also the community coming together to make things right. What about Richard? Mom asks quietly. Sentencing is next month. With the evidence from 3 schools, he's looking at significant prison time. Mrs. Rodriguez pauses. There's something else, though. We've identified 12 other students whose funds were affected. Some of them want to thank Alex personally for coming forward. I think about those other kids, students who might never have known their money was stolen, families who would have struggled to pay for college while Richard lived comfortably on their stolen dreams. I just did what anyone would do, I say. No, Mom corrects me, squeezing my hand. You did what was right, even when it was scary and hard and everyone told you to stay quiet. Your father would be so proud. As we walk out of the school together, I see Richard's Principal of the Year plaque being removed from the main office wall. In a few weeks, there will be a new plaque honoring Linda Chen for her courage in exposing financial fraud. Sometimes the people who seem most trustworthy are the ones you need to watch most carefully. But sometimes, when you speak up, you find out you weren't alone after all. My phone buzzes with a text from Maya. College acceptance letters are coming out next week. Ready to spend some of that recovered college money? I smile and text back, ready. Update, Richard was sentenced to 7 years in prison. The district implemented new financial oversight procedures. I start college in the fall, majoring in accounting with a focus on fraud investigation. Some lessons you learn the hard way, but they're the ones that stick. Edit, thanks for all the support. To anyone dealing with something similar, trust your instincts, gather evidence, and find allies. The truth has a way of coming out, but sometimes it needs help.